thank you so much for being here with us today at the IGY Rodney Bay Marina. It's a big event. It's ARC 2020, the 31st staging right here in St. Lucia. We have over 80 boats and we have over 400 participants, including kids. Every year, the St. Lucia Tourism Authority, Event St. Lucia, and World Cruising Club puts on these cooking demos. They give all the vessels a basket filled with produce with local condiments. And not only that, this year we have a gold sponsor, which is Baron Food. So you're here with us today, and what are you cooking for us today, Eddie?
All right, so today we're preparing some gourmet vegan cuisine. We're gonna have a sweet potato pie topped off with our bechamel sauce, a lovely hint of nutmeg, and Baron, they offer nutmeg, and it's still one of our key spices here in the dish, and of course in our dish today. So this will also be served with a cheesy scallop dasheen, which is also gonna be topped with some roasted eggplant and minced chive, and that's gonna bring out a little bit more of the smoky elements to pair with our own signature cashew and chickpea mozzarellas. So this is going to be a lovely scene, and it's all vegan.
You said vegan gourmet. Who think vegan and gourmet will be put together today using local produce?
Well,
how are we going to start this off?
That's the thing. We're going to use simple ingredients here. Like, we're going to begin with our sweet potato, and this is how we handle a sweet potato. Today, of course, we have two options. We can use a carrot peeler, or we can just go straight at it and utilize our chef knife and go ahead and begin the process. And we're gonna continue making sure that we peel them thoroughly, that we take off all of the excess skin, the outer skin, and that afterwards, when we're ready to cut, we have a perfectly clean sweet potato. All right, guys, let me take you to the stove where we have two hot pots. They're already filled with water and to blanch our vegetables. So we're already done with the sweet potato. Right now, all we really want...
The peeling of it and the soaking for...
All we're gonna do is get it into the cut that we desire. So I'm gonna take a whole sweet potato, and I'm gonna cut it into a size that's easier to manage, and then we're gonna simply go ahead into thin slices, which are gonna be put into boiling water, and we're gonna allow it to sit anywhere from 1 minute to a minute and a half.
Gotcha.
And we're gonna continue on by placing it into our mixing bowls, getting our sauces on there, and then into our skillet.
Eddie, what made you come up with this idea to use sweet potato and some of our local condiments and turn it into a gourmet cuisine? What made you come up with that idea?
Well, the beauty of gourmet cuisine is that it's really always simple. You always stick to the simple ingredients, and that what you're really trying to do is to highlight the positives, the features of this ingredient that makes it so delicious, makes it so applicable to your recipe as well.
Right.
So I've definitely looked at what we have, and I think sweet potato ought to be paired with a bechamel sauce. That's how I feel.
Bechamel sauce?
With a bechamel
what do you
sauce.
use for the sauce, the bechamel sauce?
So a bechamel sauce typically is like a roux. We prepare with oil, with fat, typically butter, and here I'm using vegan butter. And also you're gonna highlight the spice nutmeg in your bechamel today. So a bechamel is going to contain nutmeg, whether it's here or in Europe, but the beauty is that here in the Caribbean we get to use Baron Foods nutmeg, which is really beautiful, and it brings out some of our unique flavors. It's fresh, and also in this dish it's going to accentuate the sweet flavors of the sweet potato. So even if it's mildly sweet or a little sweet, you're gonna definitely appreciate that nutmeg, the cinnamon, and the coriander are gonna be paired with this vegetable. All right, guys, so now we're gonna let our sweet potato go into the pot while we prepare our dasheen. And the dasheen prep is really the same as the sweet potato. So all we need is for these to cook away, not too soft, because blanching is really a delicate process where you only shock your vegetables and you don't allow them to overcook. That way, in your second stage of cooking, that you can highlight even the texture of the vegetable. With the dasheen, the only addition I'm gonna make is that I'm gonna put on some gloves here, and this is gonna allow for the itchiness, the aspect that people are usually afraid of the dasheen, to just pass you right by. So you simply want to get yourself a pair of disposable gloves, and you got the dasheen again in a similar fashion.
Eddie, for our participants who will be getting the goodie baskets filled with local produce, what could you tell them about our dasheen?
All right, so dasheen is referred to as taro in its global language, and pretty much this is one of your slow burning starches or your slow burning carbohydrates. It's definitely a food that's gonna give you high energy throughout your use of it, and you would definitely appreciate that it's a thickener. So if you decide to go another route and grate it into your stews or soups, you still are gonna be getting majority of that sticky dasheen texture, which I think it's the most appreciated for. Also, the dasheen here in the Caribbean, I find, cooks completely different. We definitely get a lot more texture. So when you get your gift basket, you would be getting some of the most premium dasheen that I would think would be around. So definitely you would get the experience of a sweet, firmly textured dasheen.
And the prep for the dasheen is the same.
It's the same.
Peel, slow, thinly sliced, blanch, same prep?
Same prep.
Okay, gotcha.
We're definitely going through it.
And after we do this, what are we doing next?
We're gonna mix them in our mixing bowl with our signature sauces, and we're gonna allow them to sit into the skillet. For this pie, the cheesy scallop dasheen, I'm gonna prepare another layer to it, which is roasted eggplant. It's just gonna be an accent. It's not very long, but it's going to change the flavor. It's gonna take the direction somewhere completely different.
Okay.
All right.
And dasheen, how long does it take to cook?
We're gonna give it generally about the same, but I think we can do 2 to 3 minutes, which is a bit more, really based on the density of the vegetable. And we're gonna go straight to our potatoes. We're gonna check on them, and they should be just about done. As you can see, they're getting a little translucent around the edges.
Right.
And guys, I'm using a spider because this is so easy to get your vegetables up and out without all of the water being kept in it. So you give it a few seconds to drain, and there we go. No harm
But Eddie,
done.
whilst you're blanching the sweet potatoes and the dasheen, what next steps do you do to get this done?
So
do you go into doing sauces or just focus on the sweet potatoes and dasheen?
So once the sweet potatoes are cooked like this, here you could try it as well. You're simply gonna mix it into your sauce, and that will allow it to absorb all the flavor. And definitely it's not fully cooked, but it's gonna get finished on there in the skillet.
Right.
Right here we're gonna bring in our sauces, which we're gonna appreciate here that we're using a bechamel sauce, which is accented with nutmeg, and it's typically gonna go very well with your sweet dishes. So if you could...
And the bechamel sauce again for our participants, what ingredients are in it?
So a bechamel sauce is gonna be made using typically our butter, oil, flour, and in our case we're using vegan butter, of course. The key spice is gonna be nutmeg, and of course in there we also have our dry ingredients like our baron, paprika, onion powder, which are gonna really help to turn up the flavor. And this is all part of seasoning your food to taste, where you wanna get your hands on as many goodies, as many beautiful ingredients as possible, which are gonna let your dish go to the next level. So if you can smell this in its prep, it's already gonna be hinting a heavy nutmeg flavor, and we're simply gonna give it a toss here in the mixing bowl. We're gonna cover it again because we want it well done.
Oh, that's good already.
So we're just gonna save a little bit for our topping.
So we peeled, blanched, put into a bowl, added the sauce. Now you added a little bit of oil into the skillet. What's next?
What's next? We're basically gonna be adding in our final mix. So this has already been coated in the sauce. As you can see, a good sauce is gonna seal your vegetables. It'll almost shine right away. So that way you know that it's fully coated, and we're gonna let it sit in, form it into the skillet, and we're gonna get right on the way, sizzling over a hot coal pot. All right, so we're gonna set our skillet packed with our sweet potato in a bechamel sauce, and we're gonna simply lay it on here. In fact, guys, when you're using a coal pot at any point, let's use our mittens, which are gonna secure you.
Okay,
This is simply gonna sear away and it's gonna bake, but since we want to maintain some of the moisture, we're gonna cover it for the first 15 minutes and then we're gonna take it off.
So Eddie, we're done with the sweet potato in bechamel sauce. We're now moving on to the dasheen.
Yes, indeed.
Obviously, sweet potato has a sweet note to it. Dasheen doesn't have it. Do you add any ingredients to give you that sweetness with the dasheen, or you leave it this way and just have it this way?
So in this dish, you're actually gonna appreciate the mild sweetness of dasheen, because dasheen does have a sweet note to it. But it's very mild. So that way we're gonna be utilizing it for a different process, which is for the baking of our cheesy mozzarellas. Pretty much those are gonna add to a different accent, a different note, which is higher on an acidic, garlicky note. And then we're gonna simply pair it here for an umami and extra roasted flavor. We're gonna simply pair it with roasted eggplant. All right, so here we
cut. And the prep for it is the same?
It's literally the same. We're pretty much gonna cut it into something that's a little bit about ½ an inch, and it's gonna allow for a quick blanch, but it's still gonna maintain its texture after we've cooked it. Hey guys, we're gonna actually be putting this into the pot now. We're gonna leave it
And
for
blanch
anywhere,
it.
blanching
Same
it
process.
from anywhere from 2 to 3 minutes, which is gonna allow for a proper cook. And in there we've already added 3 teaspoons of sea salt, Barron sea salt, which is gonna allow for the penetration of the water and of the heat into the vegetable. So this is gonna provide an easy blanch, and that way we'll be on cooking in a moment. And guys, we're gonna move on to preparing the second element, and I think we can begin initially with our eggplant. And this is gonna be a very small note of the dish, but believe me, there will be some impact. I'm gonna roast 2 of these. These are pretty much your sweet peppers, and they're gonna allow just for a bit more umami and a little more color in this dish.
So you roast sweet peppers
Yes,
in a skillet?
we're actually gonna roast these on an open fire.
Oh.
That's the beauty of this dish actually. Everything is gonna be done on an open fire for the roasting, that is. So we have it on a high heat, and we're simply gonna let our eggplants and our peppers sit onto the fire, onto the open fire.
How long does this take?
Basically you will be observing your vegetables and giving it time. As soon as it browns and it starts to crisp, then you're firmly aware that it's well cooked. It will take anywhere from 3 to 4 minutes to get it to fully crispen up, ripen up, and then in the skillet, maybe another 2 minutes for the flavors to mesh together.
I got you. So Eddie, we've put the vegetables in a bowl with water with some lime. We move on to the next stage.
Yes, so
the roasting process is almost done, correct?
It's complete. So here we're actually gonna start slicing up our seasoning peppers. And guys, as you know, these are really a bit tricky. You know that some of them may be sweet, some may be a bit more spicy. So please just give yourself a little taste, just to ensure. Oh, this is sweet. Just to ensure that you're getting the right flavors in there. All right, and we're gonna proceed to cut our local chives.
I realize you use a lot of lime. Give us a little bit more info about why do we use the lime and how often should we use the lime?
Well, it's really the acidity that you're using the lime for. So I would pretty much give more light to acidity because it can change. You can probably use a touch of vinegar if you don't have lime. And Barron's vinegar is always there for you. And of course, the lime is a very good antiseptic vegetable, so therefore, or fruit rather. So therefore, we're gonna utilize it here so that we can help to clean, remove the dirt particles that may be on our vegetables, as well as prevent the oxidation so that we can keep the aesthetic element of each of our ingredients.
And after we're done chopping the vegetables, we
proceed to lightly saute it. In the meantime, we're going to begin mixing in our dashin as well, because what we're preparing here is simply going to be our topping. So this is going to be our final element, almost as garnish, but it's going to present itself as an entirely different dish. So the eggplant is going to be the main medium. We have the sweet peppers, which are roasted, that are going to add another tone to the dish. But with the mozzarellas, the dish would have already taken on a certain amount of personality.
And in the roasting process, we turn the vegetables over every how many minutes?
So we don't particularly time this because it may differ in terms of the heat that you're using. But once you've seen a nice crisp layer around your vegetable, you know for certain that it's good. All right, so here we've already turned this off. You may give it a few dusts to get some of that black element out, but you really are going to be appreciating the skin of your eggplant. And it's really simple. Just on any stovetop, you're going to change the flavor. You're going to pretty much be unlocking a proper seared flavor. So for example, if you're using Barron paprika and you definitely want to create a little more of your smoky element, you don't have to worry. You just grab a sweet pepper or 2 and you roast it, and that's it for you. In your dish, it's gonna create the perfect balance. And all of these elements are fine, simply because this is a topping. So in the main element of the dish, everything is fine, everything is minced. And for the topping here, we're gonna appreciate all of these textures. Immediately, we can also put on our pot and get our skillet going, which is also going to be used to put our dashin in.
So what's next, Eddie, now that we've chopped the vegetables and we've roasted the
eggplants and vegetables?
And
perfect. So we're gonna add these into the hot skillet. We've already brushed it with olive oil, and here it's sizzling, it's smoking up, it's hot. We're simply gonna saute these in here. And the best part here, most people don't know this, but coconut milk, if you're using a hot skillet, it's gonna turn to oil. It's gonna sizzle up and it's gonna give you a light coconut oil. So this is also beautiful because it lets you sear sauce and get it up really quickly. And this boy right here, where we break it along the sides, we open it up and we get out the white flesh on the inside. This plus water and a good blender is coconut milk right away. We're gonna add a little bit of Baron sea salt here. And pretty much this will allow for the flavors to be infused even more. So this paired with our cheesy dish is gonna add a different balance to it completely. And I think that this is really one of the more remarkable parts of this pie. As you can see, guys, the color is absolutely amazing. You don't need much.
It smells amazing too.
Thank you. But it's gonna have great impact. All right, guys, we're gonna be moving to our dasheen. We're gonna take this off the pot and simply rest it aside.
Okay.
We're gonna try our best to get as much of it out because afterwards, we're simply gonna be lining the pot for its final use. Make sure that it's properly dressed. And we're gonna go right at the dasheen. The dasheen is gonna be covered in our signature chickpea mozzarella and cashew mozzarella, both of which we're gonna use simple ingredients like our Baron paprika, Baron sea salt, Baron onion powder. Of course, we're gonna be using things like coconut milk, things like, well, of course, our acidity, lime, white wine vinegar, and of course, it's gonna bring together an entirely different mix. This, of course, has been pre-prepped.
Mix that all up together, right?
Indeed. All right, guys, so to prepare this sauce, we simply created a very thick roux with our turmeric, Baron's turmeric as well included, nutritional yeast, and all of our Caribbean flavors, seasoning, peppers, chives. And then we've built it up from there. We've brought it together with a bit of cassava flour or tapioca flour, which is going to add a little bit more texture to this dish. And
what do we do next?
We're going to add in our cashew mozzarella, which is our second sauce. And this one is made from our local natural cashews. And we simply soak them or blanch them in hot water. We allow the onion powder and the garlic powder to take the main face, and of course that's Baron there again. And we of course are going to be incorporating a little bit more of this cassava flour, of course keeping it quite local, you know, bringing those ingredients together.
With Baron ingredients.
With Baron ingredients, indeed. So right here we've already given this a thorough mix. Look at our pot. All the vibes are still in here, you know, our eggplant elements, and this is going to make for the perfect stage. It's going to allow everything to come together. And since this is scallop, we would expect, of course, for us to have a lot of these elements floating around here in the sauce. Of course, they're going to be seared away and simply allowed to cook on the open fire, but coming together as a lovely scallop dish. And we're going to layer on our roasted eggplant topping.
Oh, it looks so good.
I'm going to let it sit there for a moment so you can appreciate the color.
What next do we do?
So we're just simply gonna spread on our topping, which is the roasted eggplant, chives, seasoning peppers, and that's just gonna turn it up another level. This can be a simple dish, guys, but trust me, our local ingredients and Baron Foods products make almost everything gourmet, everything incredible. So right here, we're just spreading it up nice and even, and we're gonna let it right away on the heat.
And to lock in all that moisture and everything.
Yes, indeed.
All that goodness, right?
We're gonna go right away to our sweet potato pie. Should be done its first stage, and let's have a look at it.
Oh.
All right, guys, so we're back around here to our sweet potato pie. Let's have a look. I'm really excited to do this.
Oh my gosh, Eddie. The smell's coming out of that. I can see it sizzling out there.
We're just gonna let this go.
How much longer?
It's gonna do about another 20 minutes before those crispen, and then about we can serve it. It's gonna remain as a
right?
That way you know that it's caramelized, all the flavor has begun to lock and it's kicked up. Therefore, it's gonna have even more texture. It won't simply be soft and smooth, but then you'll have the crispness of the edges. All right, guys, we're back to the finished pies, and this is what they should look like. We have a lovely crust here, and this one still has a lovely simmer, and we're about to do our tasting. All right, guys, so we're ready to eat. And Kina's gonna do our taste test today.
Thank you, Eddie.
That
looks great. Oh my gosh, I can't wait to dig in. I think I'm gonna turn vegan after this.
Ah, that's what I want to hear.
Eddie, oh my god.
All right, guys, so this is our sweet potato pie in our bechamel sauce. Scalloped, and it's lovely and it's local. All right, guys, this is our cheesy scallop dasheen.
Thanks, Eddie.
I'm Eddison Layne. I'm 20 years old, and I'm very appreciative for being here. Of course, you know, I'd like to thank the ARC and all of the sponsors who've got us here. And if while you're on island, you'd like something, we deliver, and we deliver right to you to the north, And if you're local, we cater to you as well. And this is definitely what we have here, gourmet, high quality vegan cuisine. And we're here for you. And thank you so much for having us again.